Hey, NorCal Carters, it's Monday, and this is NorCal Mondays. And I can't take credit for that name. That's Ashley that came up with NorCal Mondays. So this is our live stream. And tonight, as you just saw, we have special guest Ron White. And he also brought a couple team members along, Kevin Woods and Ryan Martin. And yeah, so thank you for joining us tonight. So you can live chat on Facebook or YouTube, and you can ask our panel questions. And yeah, it's been a couple months now. We've been doing the live stream stuff. It's been a lot of fun. And without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Ashley real quick. She's going to go over some housekeeping items, and then we'll bring Ron, Kevin, and Ryan up. Ashley, it's your turn.
Hey NorCal, what's up? All right, we got a couple of shout outs over the weekend. USPKS happened. We were very well represented from NorCal. We had Cypress Andrus, Chase Hand, Christian Cameron, although he did break his thumb, not the finish we were all hoping for, but hey, things happen. And a big shout out to one of our friends, GFC, for taking their team down there and representing NorCal as well. So we had Bowden Barnwell representing NorCal in Washington at the Tri-Cities race. He won the 206 class, and he got second in World Formula. So shout outs to Bowden Barnwell. Some quick race recaps. So NNKC, Northern Nevada Kart Club, was over the weekend. They do have live streams on their Facebook page, so go check it out. Prairie City Two Stroke was over the weekend as well, where our friend Travis Mitchell won again in Senior KA. Yeah, he's been on the show several times, so we're a huge fan of Travis. Shout out to Travis. And then Kinsman over the weekend also ran with some motos and mini motos. So they have some pictures up on their Facebook page as well. Pretty cool to look at, seeing the two different kind of motorsports using the same track and facility. Open calls. Most of all our moms for our mom show have been confirmed. Stay tuned for that next week. And we're still looking for numbers for our number sequence for our countdown. So if your cart number is 0 to 60, send it to norcalcarters@gmail.com. All right.
Does that mean it's my turn now?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's your turn, Jason. All right. So first up, we're going to go through our guests real quick so they can do an introduction. So Ron White, if no one knew who you were, give us your 45-second elevator speech.
My 45-second elevator speech.
Yeah.
It's great to be on the NorCal Cars show tonight. I got into karting when I was about 4 to 5 years old, oval dirt racing. I did that till I was about 10 years old. I got into road racing from about 11 to about 18 years old. And then I got into sprint racing from about 18 to, let's just call it 44 right now. So that's about my 45 seconds. I got into car racing for multiple years. I wanted to race Indy cars. So that was my main goal out of racing in life. So I kind of went Formula car route, ran out of money at one point, did full circle, came back to karting, and very happy to be here doing it still.
Very cool. And then we'll circle back to you and we'll get into the racing, the road racing stuff, the road to Indy, all that good stuff. And then also you raced in Europe. So we'll talk about that.
Yeah, I definitely raced over for CRG in 2004. Ran the European Championship in one of the KZ classes. I got a second, a first place, and I think first American in like 25 years to win since Lake Speed. So
nice.
It was pretty cool for America in general. And at that time in America, the KZ class was super big and competitive. There was like 40 to 50 in a class when we raced all over the country. So I would race Boswell like every single week, which was awesome to race him. So one day he'd win, I'd win the next day. And then, it was a very competitive season over in America too. So I got really good at it. And when I went over there to race, it was I just went there to go race and win and not really go goof off. So it was good results.
Nice. And like I said, we'll come back to that. We'll circle
Yeah.
back and get into your story.
Okay.
But let's introduce the rest of our guests. Next up, we have teammate Kevin Woods. So, Kevin, I keep saying for the past year, you've dropped down from masters to race with the seniors. So, give us your 45-second elevator speech. You've been tearing it up with the kids.
Yeah, sure. Fun times. First of all, thank you for having me on. Really, really appreciate that. I started racing cars 2008 with my teammate Patrick O'Neill, Pro Formula Mazda, and Ron was a really good Pro Formula Mazda driver at the time, so he was coaching me. That's how I met Ron. And I raced until 2010, early 2010, and then stopped, and then got back into sports cars around 2012. And I wanted to improve my driving, so I got into karting at the same time. So then I saw Ron at the kart track, and I started karting quite a bit since 2013. And I've been racing shifter karts since 2015.
Very cool. I didn't realize you started off with Patty O'Neill.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
either.
Long time ago. Me, Patrick O'Neill, Mike Wash, we were all in the same car, same series.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And all three of you are currently racing out of Sonoma Rock right now.
Yeah, on the same team.
On the same team. That's right. Yeah, all three of you are now on the same team.
Yeah.
That's
Full
right.
circle.
Very cool. And then we'll circle back a little bit later and get more into your story as well. And last but not least, we've had this kid on before, Ryan Martin. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Give everyone an introduction on who's Ryan Martin.
First of all, thanks for having me. Let's see. Ryan Martin. Yeah, I started racing when I was 10 years old in Canada. And then I kind of grew up racing like the junior road tax stuff, traveled all over around the world. And then I moved down here about 2 or 3 years ago to start racing with Ron and CRG. Now we're racing the shifters.
Very cool. And you've had a good year in the shifter, so you've been doing really well in that class.
Yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun this year. We've been pretty quick, so it makes it a little bit easier to have more fun.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I'm going to bring everybody up here. Let's give everyone, there we go.
All right. And Ryan, were you racing somewhere today earlier that we were just talking about?
Yes, I had a sim race like 20 minutes ago for NASCAR, actually.
You're like, excuse us. Ryan Martin's going to make an appearance now, folks.
Well, we just won at Dover, so it's a good day.
Yeah, plus last weekend at Prairie City.
Yeah, we won yesterday too, so that's cool.
That's awesome.
So
Okay,
Well, I'm
good
glad I
weekend.
didn't show up. So that way you
better finish than at Sonoma.
Oh.
Yeah, right.
That was a good
yeah,
shot.
for those that don't know about Sonoma, you can go back to the Rock Sonoma YouTube page and watch it. But I don't want to be a spoiler, but everyone knows at this point.
Yeah.
Last lap, last corner. Ryan's leading the race, coming up the hill. They're running counterclockwise, and his chain breaks. And it was his race. Brian Keck was right behind him. Didn't really have the run coming up the hill to make an attempt for a pass. And Ryan coasted as far as he could, but it ended up second place. So once again, you can go back to YouTube, Rock Sonoma page, and you can watch that race because the whole race was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to even bring it up. Usually that's my job, is to be the athlete.
You brought it up enough the other day.
So, well, since we're talking about that, let's start with Ron. So Ryan was pretty disappointed last weekend. It's understandable. In karting or racing, what was your biggest disappointment?
My biggest disappointment in
kind of just turning it around a little bit.
Like
that's a
losing
long
the chain
list.
and the last corner.
What's the first one that comes to your mind?
Well, I mean, okay, I'm qualified pole in Vegas Supernats, won every single heat, going to turn 2, and I got taken out, and there was no way they were going to win. And it happened a couple of times, so it would have been like multiple wins at Supernats. There's been a few heartbreakers. Definitely some heartbreakers, but you got to make you better. So
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
the best advice I can give people is it's great when you're winning, it's great when you're doing well, but it's like when you don't do well or something happens, you need to like use that to make your character better and make you a better driver, more prepared. And that's the only way I think you're going to be successful is doing that. So yeah,
You just
I
got
had a
rid of
few
one of my questions too.
or actually in the KZ in Europe, I was leading the points championship and we went to the last round and the motor broke in qualifying. And there's 72 people. So I had to start 72nd. So that was difficult. But that's what it was.
Oh, we have a question coming in from Andy Saisman.
No, this ain't
Challenge
good.
karting.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Well, I mean, yeah, I ended
Really,
up
seriously, what's with the glasses?
my eyes a little bit screwed up. I got a sty in one of my eyes. The bar
He
fight
got
would have
into a
sounded
bar
better.
fight.
Bar fight would have sounded much better.
Yeah.
I look much prettier right now with my glasses on, Andy.
All right. So Kevin, let's have you continue that question. That line of questioning. From karting or racing in general, what was actually a disappointment?
Well, not quite as long as the list as Ron's, I'm sure, but let's see. I had pole at Super Nats in the S4 Super Masters, and I finished second in both heats. Was feeling pretty good for the next heat, but I was disqualified for being 1 pound underweight, and then had to start from the back. That was pretty disappointing. Other than that, there's been some championships I lost in karting and cars. Last race, not too many though. Mostly wins, so I'll take that. But yeah, it's a long list. But like Ron said, every time something happens, you just learn from it, get better, just keep pushing.
Yeah, I don't normally ask that question, but when Ashley brought up Ryan's chain issue, it's like, you know what? I don't mind that line of questioning. Let's go down that route. Because I mean, here you guys are, you're still, competing hard, frequently. It's not like you gave up. It's like, all right, that sucks. Let's move on.
Yeah, but a lot of the people on like our team in general, it's like Patrick, Kevin, Ryan, a lot of us. I mean, at the end of the day, is like they just keep working harder and harder and harder. And as a team, it works out great. And the people we have on my team, I just utterly enjoy because it's like I love the racing. And there's some people you want to have on your team. And there's other people you just don't want to be involved with.
Yeah.
And it's made my life really enjoyable to wake up. And even though it's work, it's not really work to me because I don't think I could work that hard at a regular job. So it's too many hours, as Ryan knows, because Ryan's been my right hand man, and I think I'm burning him out a little bit.
Andy in the comments.
I know. Ouch, Andy.
Which one does he have going? Don't see it.
Oh, wow.
It's easy to basically ask you no accomplishments.
Vicious.
Burn.
So
That one hurt.
let's start talking about Ron again.
Hey, let's actually, Ron. Let's follow up with the on the intro. I don't know if you really got into the chassis brand you represent.
Yes.
You're a NorCal shop.
Yes.
You're based out of American Canyon. Your home track's Rock Sonoma. What brand are you slinging these days?
So, I mean, I've done it for many years, since basically about 2002. Been on the CRG product. I'm good friends with like John Carlo, Eddie Tonini, Ewan. It's a good family that I really enjoy, and we've had our ups and downs, but at least like at the end of the day, they're great to communicate with, and they just try to make the product better. Maybe something doesn't work right, and they're always trying to improve their product and make it better on the track. So for me, we've been doing the CRG product for a while, and we've gone through a lot of different designs and tubing and so on, just to make the brand in America better. And I don't think a lot of people realize like the amount of stuff we've legitimately tested, as Ryan knows and Kevin knows even more. Like we've tried different frames, different tubes, different spindles, a lot of different components to try and make the brand better on the tire in America that we race on.
So can you tell people what chassis you're on for Sonoma in the shifter class?
Well, two of them, the KT5 and the KT4.
Okay.
So the KT5 is untagged, which has been really good. The KT5 and shifter is what Kevin's been on, and we're kind of learning that thing a little bit more. We need to get a little bit more improvement on it. It's really good. And then the KT4s we've been running for about the last 2.5 years. We did a lot of development on that thing, and it's been really good and solid. But we need to try and make the product even better than it is. So we kind of branched out and started going on the KT5, and it's always a learning experience when you switch over. We do, like in my shop, we do our own engines as well. So we get to test on our own motor program, and not a lot of people do the kart stand engines, which is a pretty full-time job as well.
Yeah, that's a lot to chew. And then now, if for someone that doesn't know, on the shifter stuff, are they still doing the Road Rebel line of chassis, or is the KT, I guess, name kind of filled in for the Road Rebel stuff?
So the Road Rebel's an all 32 mil chassis. They do sell that as well. But like I said, we want to go a different path. The KT4 was like the old Black Star back in the day that like some of the people ran that were really good.
Okay.
I had really good luck with the Black Star when I went to like Lancaster and multiple races. So we kind of came full circle back to the Black Star, which is a KT4 in a sense. It's a 30 mil front to rear, 32 mil cross. And then this year, like Kevin, Ryan, Hayden ran the KT4 at the Real Rock. I ran an all 30 mil, which was a KT2 because I'm like, well, I'll try it. It was hard getting go-karts at the time, so we're like, I need to try something different because this is what I got. So I ran that. The thing worked really good, but we wanted to work on a little bit more grip in the cart on the way in. So here Kevin is running the KT5.
All right.
So it's a 32 mil front hoop with all 30 millimeter frame. And then we're going to probably make a slight change on stuff really soon to make it better.
So how come behind Kevin's name it doesn't say factory Ron White driver? If he's doing all the testing,
you're the one over there with the keyboard. We're just
exactly.
So you might need to change that right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Factory RWR driver.
Kevin has tested a lot of stuff.
And Ryan's been testing a lot too, just to be fair, for his short time in the team.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's like, we've all been working at this
for sure.
So.
All right, going back, Ron. So let's talk about how did you get introduced to karting in general? Like back as a kid, did you guys like go and find a local track? Did you know somebody? Like where did it start?
So my dad which knows Don Durbin, from Prairie City. They were great friends back in the day. They used to race like drag racing. They got into like, top fuel cars was like the highlight of what they did, right?
Yeah.
So the race top fuel cars. Well, at one point my dad had 3 kids, which took more money, and then the top fuel cars cost even more money to run. So they quit doing that at one stage. And my dad and my brother were a little bit bored, so they're driving past a cow cart in San Jose, which was in Vader, and they ended up basically stopping in, buying a go-kart. And then next thing you know, they're driving the thing in a parking lot. And then we found a track. It was Joe Allen's track. It was a big orchard. Had like an 8-mile dirt track, I think about. So at about 4 years old, we'd start our go-karts driving down the street. After we put it through the curb and did a lawn job on the house one day, we started going to the kart track. And then Joe Allen's, we ran there. And then there used to be in Fremont, which was Bayland's kart track. So a lot of guys that ran sprint cars ended up racing there, and then we ran the karting there for multiple years. So it was a lot of fun. But the Baylands, I get to meet a lot of people like Randy Hannigan, some of those guys that went on to go run actually in the World Outlaws, which was pretty cool. And I was like a really little kid, and we raced out there till we're, like I said, about 10, 11 years old. So that was my introduction into karting. Once we started, it was my brother, myself, my dad raced, and then at one point it was my little sister that raced, which actually won IKF Grand Nationals 2 times. It's 17 years old in the senior class.
Impressive.
So, yeah, that makes her an IKF expert.
Yeah, she won 2 that week. It was pretty cool.
Nice.
So she actually got it before my brother, and that was the ongoing joke. My sister busted my brother just giving him a hard time. So we had a good time teasing Joe about that one.
Poor Joe.
Yeah, he didn't quite
He's
have
like,
it.
I got you guys into this.
So that's how we actually got started into it, kind of at the beginning, and then it would start off going to the dirt track, and then it was goofing around to getting more serious. And my dad was a competitive person, so we'd be out in our garage. I mean, I'm talking no BS, like 9, 10, 11 at night in the garage, or pulling it in the driveway because we ran out of room in the garage to work on our go-karts to prepare it. And back in the day, you couldn't just go buy a go-kart. You had to buy a go-kart, maybe weld up spindles. And then when we went road racing, we had to make our own bodywork. We had to make a lot of our own panels and all that stuff. So I ended up learning how to do like fiberglass work, probably like 10 years old. And I learned I will never want to do that for work again. That stuff itched for 4 days. And I learned we made body. This is a really good one. I was like 12 years old. I made this bodywork. It was like different nose, different design for road racing. So we're going to go to the nationals, right? We tested it on Highway 85. No bullshit. At like 5:45 in the morning, we drove down to the freeway off of like, I think Coleman Road or whatever it was, unloaded the go-kart, did about 118 miles an hour down the road, passing cars. Pull off, throw the thing in the back, switch the bodywork to the different design, and it went like 114 mile an hour. So we're like, okay, well, that bodywork did not work. So that's how we did our testing. Didn't
Highway
get
85.
Oh, yeah. No, right on 85.
So that must have been when it was fairly new.
It was very new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just got open and not a lot of people traveled it yet. And my dad's like, let's go early in the morning. So, yeah. My dad definitely didn't follow all the rules growing up. So that was part of my growing up around my father was he taught me a lot of things. And for me, it created my business in the end, which was, we had a certain amount of money and we had to learn how to work on our own stuff. Like me and my brother, like 6, 8 years old, were pulling motors apart on the floor of my dad's, garage or shop. He had an automotive shop too, did transmissions and rear ends. So I'd be like 6 years old cleaning parts there, which I don't think I was that good at doing it. But he made me do it. And then I would go sleep on the couch for like 2 hours and I looked like I was covered in grease and everything every day. It looked like a roll in it. So he definitely busted my butt for instilling a hard work ethic in me. So it was good learning experience, and he was super hard on me as a kid, and it's really what I needed actually. Or I would have gotten a lot more trouble. So that's a little bit of my life. A little bit.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to it.
That's a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a
All
little
right.
bit.
So Kevin Woods, factory RWR driver.
Sure, I'll take it. Yeah.
Yeah. So follow that up. Your introduction to karting. Were
Yeah.
you a full-on adult? Were you a kid? What is your story on introduction to karting?
Yeah. So when I was a kid, I did race BMX for a short while. I think I was
Okay.
Maybe 10 to 11 or 12, raced a couple of years. Then I got into skateboarding. But no, I didn't get into racing karts or cars until I was well into my 30s, late 30s actually. So 2013 is when I got into karts. I did the Sim Raceway Arrive and Drive. I thought I was racing pretty cool karts. I thought I was doing really well. I won the championship that year. Ron took me to the side and said, "Hey, let me put you in a real kart at Dixon." He gave me a GP kart with a Perilla engine, MG wide tires. And I think after 3 laps, I was dead tired. The kart was so fast, so much fun to drive because the Sim Raceway karts, it had the junior engine on it, had the rock hard tires. So yeah, that was like a real kart. And I was hooked after that though. And it's been so much fun ever since.
That's how Ronnie got you hooked.
Yeah.
The
Fast
funny
kart,
thing,
sticky tires, Dixon.
Exactly.
he was so proud he never said a word. I think he was so sore after that. He drove for a while.
Yeah.
It's like, all right. He's like, no, I'm good for the day. This should be good. Later on, we got to know each other better. He was like, oh, I was so sore.
I was dead.
Right?
I was dead. I couldn't say that. My pride was telling me, "Oh no, just keep going. You can do it." No, I was dead.
Oh,
Really
Dixon,
fun,
it's just an ass kicker of a track. Like if
Yes, it is.
if you're
Yeah.
not in driving shape, it just does it to you.
I thought I was. I was driving the sim raceway cards. I was driving all day, no problem.
Yeah.
So you have a set of soft tires and you go around Dixon and you're just, it's a workout.
Exactly. Yes.
No, Ryan Martin, Rymar.
Yes.
I don't know if that nickname's in the stick, but
No, I don't
No,
think it's
I
done.
I don't think so.
Ronnie's like,
No.
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 You getting into karting, was it? I think we
Well,
highlighted a little bit last time you came on to fill
I
in
think-
for Ronnie, but
Yeah, I think we did.
give us a rundown on it again.
Basically, like growing up, I was just growing up big into racing and stuff, watching NASCAR F1 as a kid. And my parents, who are originally from South Africa, my dad at the time saw like they used to have those go-kart races in Europe, like in the stadiums, and they used to be on television. Well, my dad saw that and wanted to do that as a kid, but they never had the money to do it. So basically, we went on a family vacation. I drove a rental cart for the first time and really had a good time with it. And from there, the rest is kind of history. Got my first go-kart on my 10th birthday.
Very cool. Then since we already have you on the big screen, did you say earlier you did some road tax stuff? You did some worlds?
Yeah, I did the grand finals a few times. What year was it? 20. I was a reserve driver one year, and then I went a couple other years. So that was a really cool experience to be able to do and go like race against guys all around the world.
And what team was that for?
It would have been Team Canada.
Team Canada, eh?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right.
A. Team A.
Eh?
So that was pretty cool. And then after that, I kind of slowed down my racing in high school and college, and then I started again a couple years ago.
All right. And
So,
now you're based with Ron down here in America.
Yeah, so now I'm racing the go-karts down here, and this is also my like transition year into cars. So
All right. I guess Canada's America too, but
yeah, it's pretty similar. People are a little nicer though, so
Like here or there?
back there.
Oh, come on. They are.
But
And then Kevin,
no.
do you have any international racing experience?
No, I don't actually. I'd like to, but we'll see. No, I don't have any international race experience, but I've been to several tracks in Europe, both mainly for cars, either through schools or just other programs, but no racing experience.
What was your favorite European track in the car?
The Castellet in France was really fun.
Okay. And it's just one of those bucket list type things. It's like, oh, I want to go to school over here and
Yeah, exactly.
check out the track.
I've done some ice driving in Finland a couple times. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, wow.
I've done
Okay.
ice karting. That was pretty amazing. It was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
That's
Yeah, a couple of weekends
awesome.
or a couple of weeks ago, we had a guest on, James McMahon, and he has ice karting in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a joke. I legit thought it was a joke until he came on, and I was like, "Oh, this isn't a joke."
No, it's real. Yeah, he's been at it for like
That's
2 or 3 years.
awesome.
Yeah, he's been trying to find different areas, and it freezes over properly with enough snow to have a track, but close enough to people that want to go out. And yeah, So speaking of Europe, guess who we're going to talk to next? Ron White. So I know you've been to Europe. You went over there with the CRG team.
No, I definitely went over there in 04. We raced Italy, France, and then Belgium.
Yep.
So I would go over for like 6 weeks at a time. And then, which Dakota was pretty young at that time, so it was kind of a little more difficult than it is right now. So we would go over and I'd stay at the factory, and then I flew to southern Italy, and that was definitely different than I thought Italy was. And then we would test for like 2-3 days, and then we would fly back, and then we would stay at northern Italy, which was way nicer than the southern Italy part of it. So I got a really good opportunity with CRG, and luckily, like, some people supported me, and CRG covered the stuff. Because at that point in my life, I mean, I was, a 24, 25-year-old kid with no money and trying to race all around the world. So I definitely got to see a lot of different parts of the world because of that, and I had some really fun teammates I met. So we ended up, there's a couple of kids that were about 19 to 18 that were pretty fun to be around. They gave us a CRG van, let us kind of do what we wanted, and we had a good time.
All right. So not having a lot of money, having a lot of karting experience here in the US, what advice would you give a kid that has a dream of going to Formula One, or not even Formula One, just racing in Europe, but maybe they don't have the financial resources right now? What would you tell that kid if they're listening to this show to get their butts over there?
I mean, to go do that, it's easier now, I would say, because the biggest thing is there's so much social media, and it's just about networking. It's like the same Ryan coming down here in America to go race. He's really good. He's a personable person. He gets along with people. He's letting them know what he's doing, and you just need to contact people and be like, "Hey, this is who I am. I'm going to be racing these races, but you got to have some sort of money to start, because people don't quite have the imagination to spend the money until they see the type of results you're actually possibly of having." The reason I got to go to race in Italy was because I raced in America, and I raced all over the country. Me and my brother, we drove to Florida, we drove to Canada, and I mean, we were winning like every single week. I think it went like almost 2 years with not losing a go-kart race. And that was running SCUSA, anything that was any big race, we went everywhere, Vegas, the whole deal. So that's why the guy that owned SSC, Joe Ramos, he was the one that got a hold of John Carlin and was like, "Hey, we need to help this kid out because they're helping sponsor me, like so much money a race and product and so on." So we went from selling 400 CRGs in the US to 800 in 1 year because we were winning so much, which was huge, in 2002.
Yeah.
So then that's why I got that opportunity. And then it was kind of like, Minetti that used to race for Factory CRG, he won like the Worlds, and they took the cart, put it in a box, shipped it over, and I ran Rocky Moran race, ran it. And it was really good on Vega tires. It was actually made for Vega tires. So then they started sending different chassis and stuff and helping me out. But the biggest thing is networking and just don't quit. Like, some days are going to be rough when your chain falls off, like Ryan's. Other days, I mean, you may not make it out of the pits, but you got to keep going and going and going. And honestly, me doing it going from karting to car racing, I scraped as much money together as I could. And it was, people had asked me when we went to Sebring, the first race, "Oh, are you going to run the whole season?" I'm like, "I'm lucky to be here." Like, I got a car. I got just enough money. I may not make it home with enough money. But then it was like, you get to know people. I had a friend that owned a company that saw what I was doing, and he gave me like $10,000 check just because he saw how good I was doing in the karting and I wanted to car race. So you get a bunch of people together, a community that have the same goals. And, it's like, for me, there's a lot of paths. You have like Alexander Rossi, which his dad do a great job of putting a business program together. You got to look ahead and find the money, honestly. That's a long topic of discussion, I would say.
Well, so Andy actually commented and he said, go to the Rilla Springs website, and you still own one of the track records on the big track.
Yeah. It was a 250 Supercart. It was an Anderson chassis, probably 97, 98, something like that. And I think it's like a 116 or 117 lap time, somewhere around there. And it's like probably average speed in go-kart, like 130 mile an hour at least. It was
how many miles an hour?
Like average, I bet you 130, 125, something stupid.
Average.
Oh yeah, it's a 2-cylinder, 250 engine. It makes that thing probably made 90 horsepower. Later on, when we worked with Rainey at Sweet Tech and Todd, the one we had at Laguna was really fast. But it's about a $15,000 go-kart engine for a superbike engine,
Yeah.
All right. And then another one, Andy's giving you props. The difference is effort and sacrifice. Ron and Joe drove straight across the country, slept in the truck, broke down a bunch, got there, busted ass, and won. They didn't fly in, sleep at the Marriott, pay a mechanic, and write a press release.
Andy is right on about that. I mean, I slept in the truck multiple times. And like you said, like when our truck broke down, we had to rent a Penske truck. We drove all night long, showed up to the Worlds in Oklahoma. It's 7:30 in the morning. We unloaded everything after we unloaded it from our other trailer into this box van, and won both classes. Won KZ, won the Super class, and modified Honda. And it was like I was so tired because I mean we drove all night long. You know, one of us sleep, one of us drive, but we had a little bit of money. We worked all the time to try and raise enough money. My dad did whatever he could to help us out, and like Val Petrosich, which it was a great friend of my family, and about a week and a half ago he passed away. So he was actually the reason I was able to get into the car racing, because he actually bought the car for me and sponsored me to go do that. So
Interesting.
a lot of good people. A lot of
All
good
right.
people helped out.
So we got more comments.
A lot
Our
of good
friend
people, yeah.
Steve Pagot, RWR will get you to the front, peeps. There you go.
Nice.
There's your shout out, Ron.
That sounds like advertising there, Steve.
That's good
You know?
advertising. He won the championship last year.
Steve Peugeot.
Exactly.
All right. We have a question for Ryan, actually. So, Ryan, what cars are you transitioning to? And then we have a question for Kevin. Which cars do you like to be behind the wheel of? So we'll go to Ryan first, and then we'll get Kevin's answer.
So yeah, my overall goal right now is to kind of go the NASCAR route. So right now I'm running a pro late model car in the SRL series in California, and then hopefully from there go up to like the ARCA Menard series, then keep climbing the ladder to hopefully the Cup series.
So this would be the time to make the plug about Ryan Martin does need sponsorship. Ryan Martin works, I don't know, 70 hours a week, probably at my shop, helping out, working on his go-kart at night, going to the track, and he has a hard work ethic, and that's the path he's trying to go.
So yeah, like Ron said, basically busting ass, getting stuff done. My next car race is actually May 21st at Irwindale. So we're busy building, getting everything ready, getting the car prepped, and getting the program ready to head on down there and go see how we do.
I've been to Irwindale. I like it there.
Yeah, I've never been there before, so I'm looking forward to it.
All right, Kevin, which cars do you like to be behind the wheel of?
Well, I love Porsche. So I drove Porsches for a lot of years. Really enjoy that car, the Porsche Cup car. But the best car that I've driven, honestly, is probably the LMP3. It was a really fun car, really fast, handled really well. And of course, the Pro Mazda was really good. But the LMP3 was my favorite car.
Man, you have some like fast race car experience.
Yes.
Right?
You didn't say Formula Ford.
No, not my
No.
favorite.
So you're going to be the perfect guy to ask this to. Compare those to your shifter. Where, as far as performance with the braking power, the horsepower to weight ratio, the lateral forces, where does a shifter cart fit into those three classifications of cars that you like?
Not really a fair comparison. The shifter is quite a bit better. Just handling, braking, everything. I don't think I've ever driven a car that's comparable to a shifter. Maybe Ron has, but I haven't.
Even the LMP3?
No, not really. The
Not really?
acceleration's
Wow.
not there. Yeah, the acceleration's not there. There's a lot of G's. The G-force is good, but still not as high as a shifter cart. Braking is really good, but still not as good as a shifter cart.
Wow. We need to do a soundbite on this, Ashley.
That's
Right.
why all three of us are here racing shifter carts.
Correct.
Because it's like you start going the car route, and then it's like this stuff is really fun. 125 shifter is like so much fun, and it's way less than a lot of other cars, you know.
Mhm. Much less.
Yeah.
Much less. So Ronnie, segue into your car experience. So Kevin just dropped. I thought three badass race cars.
Kevin's driven a lot of really badass race cars. He
Yeah,
really
and
has.
I'm actually surprised by the answer with where the shifter cart fits in. So how far did you make it up the ladder, and where would you say your favorite car is?
Night, Andy.
I started with Skip
Andy's going to
Barber.
bed.
I ran actually Russell, Skip Barber, I won races through them, so I got to go run that. I drove a Formula Z Tech car. Thanks to John Bedos, that owned the series. He helped me out a little bit. He paid half. I ran with JDC Motorsports. And then I ended up basically ran out of money, came back, did it again, ran Pro Mazda. The Pro Mazda car was a blast to drive. It's definitely something you got to like be on the throttle and on the gas. And that's why like Patrick O'Neill is a freaking animal in that car because he's always on the gas. And then I ran that all over for a couple of years. I did test driving with like Star Mazda, Goodyear for all the tires and wings. And then I got some opportunities with a Indy Lights team. I got my license through IRL, and I got my oval license through, Indy Lights team, which was a fun car to drive. I did the oval test, which was grow a big set of balls, pretty much. And I asked the guy, I'm like, "Can you flat this?" He goes, "Yes." It was, when you're doing this speed a little bit slower, it's not that good, not comfortable. It's like, "Can I flat it?" "Yes." "Okay." So I went around about 3 corners, just held it wide open for the next 100 miles. So I was like, all right, no problem. I'm not going to lift if I don't need to. And then that car was fun to drive, but I drove for Walker Racing because of PFC brake system, or one of the brake system companies from Star Mazda sponsored me, which Derek Wang Derek Wang. This one guy passed away probably a year or two ago. And he got me an opportunity with Walker Racing to show up and go run the Atlanta car for the day. They covered everything. And it was a 16, one of the 016 cars. That was, I would say, one of the best cars I've ever driven. But to me, it was like, it didn't accelerate like a shifter kart, right? But the high-speed aero and the braking was phenomenal. But the budget is crazy. So for me, like 125 shifter, bottom line. The competition, the braking, the acceleration, the 125 shifter is so much fun, especially when you go to Vegas and you have 50 to 60 people like last year in the class. That is like, honestly, all I really want to race anymore.
So what kind of numbers are we talking about at Indy Lights? What's the annual budget?
Indy Lights was, at the time when I did it before, was probably about 700,000 to 900,000. And then probably right now, I don't even know what it is, over $1 million. Indy Lights, or what was it? Atlantic was about 750 at the time in like 2007, 2008 when they were around,
Mm-hmm.
And then they kind of went away with Champ Car, and then IRL kept going. But yeah, that's compared to you spend $100,000 on a shifter cart for a year if you're really serious, and you can have a lot of fun. Or you can do a lot of work yourself, like Ryan works on his stuff, and you can save money. But for me, it's a lot more fun driving a 125, I would say. Less bullshit, too. The car stuff is too much bullshit. Especially when you have no money and you're trying to do it. It's difficult.
All right, so we do have a couple of questions. One we are going to come back to. It's talking about kid carts. We will come back to that, but Ron, a question for Ron is, what are your guys' biggest struggles transitioning to car?
The biggest transitioning to car, is meeting the people. The people at most of the karting tracks are a different crowd than are at the car tracks. They know a little bit of the people, but it's a big difference depending where you want to go. And you need more zeros on the checks. You just need the money, and that's really what it is. So, it's a big learning experience, as in the transition to is you need to know how to work front brakes, which some of the kids move up early from tag into a car. They don't know the shifting. They don't know the front brakes, how they work. Another thing is suspension. Suspension in a car, you need to understand how that works. I think it's a little bit easier than tuning a go-kart, me personally. But you need to understand how the suspension works and how to drive the car to get the most out of it. Does it have an open diff? Does it have a pause? You need to know what equipment you're getting into. Because even in cars, there's an aero car and there's like a stock car like Ryan's driving, and they're way different to drive. And you have to drive them differently to get the most out of it. So I would say financial is a really big hurdle, as well as understanding which car you're going to get. Is it a Mazda? Is it an Indy Lights car? Is it a stock car? You drive them all differently, and you need to get some really good help and get the right people around you if you're going to move up.
All right, Ryan, what about you?
I'd say, well, for me, not having a lot of money and basically like fundraising or like getting sponsorship money to go do it. For me, the biggest thing for me is just having the money to be able to go show your skill set. Like I hopped straight into the stock car, having no experience. One of the biggest, or if not the most competitive series on the West Coast for the late model stock cars, and my speed overall was pretty good considering how much little seat time I have. So the transition's not bad. I guess the biggest thing, like Ron said, is learning about the suspension, because coming from a go-kart, everything you do is pretty much instant. And then honestly, the business side of things, because like Ron said, it takes more zeros to get there. So you're on your phone nonstop, fundraising money, keeping people in contact, keeping them up to date on what you're doing. And that's I think the biggest and hardest struggle of that side of stuff is the whole business side of racing. And you don't really get to experience that a lot in karting, but definitely when you move up to the car stuff, like 80% or 90% of it is the business of you just even getting the opportunity to show up to the track and drive on Sunday.
Yeah. All right, Kevin.
Yeah, for me, it's a little bit different path than these guys. So I have a similar story in terms of, the work ethic and working hard and working as a young person, trying to make it, but I just had a different career path. So I went into computers. So once I was done with that and I started racing, I was lucky enough to have the money to go racing. So my experience was quite different. But having started in cars, I think my biggest hurdle was just learning how to drive as quickly as possible. Because as Ron will tell you, I started in a Pro Mazda, which maybe I shouldn't have started in a Pro Mazda. But, I try to learn as quickly as possible, learn from coaches, watch a lot of video, drove a lot. And then as I moved up the ranks, I think the biggest thing I had to learn was how to tune the suspension and how to drive different cars, like Ron said. That was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
So to follow up with that, Kevin, I don't know you really well, but you don't come off as an ego-driven type of a guy. But if you're to compare the carts, the cars, you jumped right in the cars. Did you ever have a moment when you said, "Oh, I don't want to get in the carts because it's go karts"?
No, I don't think so.
No.
No, because I knew about racing. I knew about the history of racing. I knew a lot of, F1 drivers had karting background. So I just never got into karts because I never knew about it, to be honest with you. So the
Really?
first time
Okay.
I went and drove a kart was at an indoor karting track, Go-Kart Racer in Burlingame.
Yeah.
And I went to a school there that was being hosted by Mimo Gidley. And of course, one of the coaches was Ron White. And Brett Buckwalter was there. And so that's when I first started karting. And so I was like, yeah, even indoor karting, it was, it wasn't that great, but still it's motorsport. And I could tell it's not easy. So yeah, I always respected karting.
Now, when you talk to some of your car friends, do they kind of give you a little bit of a look when you say, "Oh, I race shifter karts" or "I race go karts"? Is your circle pretty familiar with what the performance of a race kart?
I would honestly say that most of them don't understand it. They think they don't understand. So I actually had a race in 2018. I was winning the championship in my Porsche Cup car, and it was a double header. So Saturday and Sunday, I had races both days. But I had a conflict on Sunday. I think we were doing a challenge of the Americas or something I was doing, and I wanted to race the kart race on Sunday. So I won on Saturday, and then I left the track Saturday night, and I told the team I'm not going to race Sunday because I got to do a kart race. And everybody in the paddock was like, "What? You're leaving to go do a kart race? This doesn't make any sense. Like karts, like that's not even important." I'm like, "No, you guys just don't understand."
Yeah, but to you, it was more important to go after the kart win than it was the car win.
Well, they're both important.
Yeah.
But karting, in my opinion, is more difficult. I think it's more competitive, and you have to put in more time, especially for me as a gentleman driver, right? I think if you're going to be a professional driver like Ryan and Ron was, it can be very difficult to race cars as well. But for a gentleman driver, karting is way more difficult.
And I love hearing how you put the effort into your career to afford the path into a car.
Well, yeah,
And
no
then
matter
now
what you're
cars.
doing, you got to put in the effort, right? No matter
Yeah.
what.
Yeah, that's why you're good though. That's a reality. And like Kevin's super methodical. Like in 2008 when we worked together, like very on top of the data. But then he could do the data, and then the next session he could progress and actually make it happen, which not a lot of people could do. You know, you
Yeah,
can.
well, I've been like pulling for Kevin for a year ever since he dropped down to the senior ranks because it's like,
Oh, I
that's
love
what
it.
Kevin does, and like I think your first race you were right around fifth or sixth, so holding your own,
Right. Right.
and then it was like I said, the last race here you are, you swept the weekend until the main event, and it's like, where's Kevin? And someone said, oh, he left, and I thought they were joking with me. I thought you were just late to the grid. It's like, no, he like roll without him, he left. It's like. He's sweeping the pro class this weekend, and he leaves.
He's got a family dinner.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm very competitive, but I mean, one thing I've learned over the years is family always comes first.
Yeah.
So, I'm not a professional karter. It's not something that I have to do. I do it for fun, but family comes first.
All right. Ron, we got a question that we need some clarification on.
Thank you, Kevin.
Okay. You were on the show Pinks.
Oh yeah, nice. I was definitely. Oh, that was a good time. That thing got played on there maybe 50 times afterwards. Yeah.
Was that Sacramento Dragway?
I won the show on Pinks.
You can find it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask. Where is it?
Oh, we went to Sacramento Drag Straight.
Sacramento Drag
Okay,
Straight.
so what did you do? I've never seen it, so explain.
Okay, so you're gonna look it up after this, right?
Oh, I'm putting the link in the comments right now.
Yes.
Please do.
That's my boy,
It
Martin.
was me, Mabel Gidley, another person that ran it. And when we did it, the guy, Rich Christensen, he met somebody else that knew me and was like, hey, put Ron on the show. I showed up in the back of an S10 pickup, had no idea they were going to put that on film because that's all I had to go race at the time, right?
Okay.
I pulled my go-kart out, raced Mamo Gidley, raced the next guy, and then beat them both. And the next thing you know, we look on TV. I'm like, holy crap, this thing actually made it on TV. I never knew it was going to make it on TV.
Oh my gosh.
The guy was putting this program together, had this great idea, and he was like, I don't know if I can make it to TV, but I'm definitely going to try. So yeah, I was on Pink's TV. So it was pretty good.
What? All right, guys, we're looking for the link. Don't worry, we're looking for the link.
Ron's a little slow. He's a little slow there.
Well, the Ron White, the comedian, came up about 100 times before.
I'm on it. Ashley, take over for a few minutes. I'm going to cue it up real quick.
Yeah, I know that.
All right. All right, so we do have some comments we do have some questions in the comments. Maybe you guys maybe Ron as a veteran can kind of give some insights. So our first one was, why are the kid kart classes so much smaller than any other race class? Does everyone just go straight to junior 1 or micro or mini rock? Okay.
You want me to answer that? That's an open-ended question.
It is. It's very open-ended. And the next one is, would you have your kids start in junior 1 or go to tag cadet? So let's talk about just your personal preferences, I'm assuming, of junior
Myself personally,
classes.
this is what I didn't do. Dakota was a certain age, and I would rather started at about 7 to 8 years old, not 4 to 6 years old myself personally, because the baby kart class at the time, the dads were cheating a lot, and it's something I never wanted to be involved in. So I never wanted to be in a class where I had to cheat to make my kid to win. So I just bypassed that. And then later on in life, I ended up getting her in. She got in at like 10 years old, but 7 years old would have been good for like micro. So I would start my kid in micro and a cadet. But that's me personally, or a mini chassis. You found the link over there, I see?
Yes. Okay. So we found the link. We have it. Jason, did we get it? Okay, this is live. So you guys are getting our blind reaction. We have never seen this video before, never before seen footage of Ron
It's a long
White.
show.
on Pinks.
And I showed up in that.
Awesome. Wow. So that's Ron.
I'm a little bit thinner then.
Oh my gosh, this is awesome.
You get to fast forward. Me and Mamo race each other, and then so on. Yeah, so now you know where to find this thing, so people can go check this out.
This is awesome. See, Ryan, I told you it was too good to be true.
Uh,
Oh,
All
Mamo
right, let's
Goodley.
see. So we got. Oh my gosh, this is hilarious. And Ron's like, "So are we really doing this right now? Are they really filming us?
yeah, they're like paper, rock, scissors. Who goes first?
Race 1.
Yeah, this was like one of the original episodes from Pinks.
This is. It's extremely dangerous.
Extremely.
Please only do this in a controlled area, friends.
All I gotta say, that track was not. It was pretty slick.
And then we got this guy that looks like he's from Fast and Furious. What?
Yeah, I went to Sac Drag Strip. It was not too much. We could have got karting on TV.
That's awesome.
Oh my god, I haven't seen that one in a while.
Our friend Gear Nuts, is there a movie script waiting to be written?
I can be the guy that wears the white tank top.
What gear did you run?
Oh my god.
What gear did I run? 1626.
That's awesome.
So did you really do 108 at the end of the straightaway?
Coming in hot.
Hey, Ron.
Yeah.
Did you really do 108?
Oh, it was probably like 95, but it's TV. It's got to make it look.
Oh, okay.
Right.
I like how
108.
they prepped the track for you. I mean, it's like nice and
No,
clean.
that thing was not prepped. we started on the drag strip side, and it was like ice skating because it was not prepped.
Oh, really?
You had to go to the other end because I drove it at first. I'm like, you're going to hurt somebody. So they went to the opposite end and came back.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because if you don't prep like a drag strip, it is like super slick.
Yeah.
Until they prep it. So I was like, it was like fifth gear, sixth gear. The thing was dancing around. I'm like, yeah, probably had to go the other way.
All right. Another question. What happened to the cart you won?
Sold it back to the guy.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, guys, we are nearing the end of our show.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and do Kevin and Ryan's final thoughts, shout outs, and then we'll end with Ron, okay? All right. Who wants to go first? Rock, paper, scissors. Just kidding.
Kevin can go first.
I'll go first. First of all, thank you
Thanks,
very much for
Ryan.
having us on. This is really cool. Obviously, I have to thank RWR, everyone that works at the team, Ron, my mechanic, Jason Toft, and yeah, hopefully we can continue the success we had so far this year.
All right. Thanks, Kevin. And we'll
Thank you,
see
Kevin.
where are we going to see you this year?
Always at Sonoma, the Rock Series there. I might do the California Rock Challenge, and then of course Vegas for sure.
All right. Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin.
All right, switching to Ryan. That's Ryan.
Ryan.
I'm not that
That's
ugly.
Ryan.
That's messed up.
But yeah, this was really cool. Thanks for having me, guys. It's a
of
good
course.
time like always. Thank you to like Ron and our amazing customers like Kevin that give us the opportunity to show up to the track and support them and see their growth and stuff. So it's been really cool opportunity.
All right, where are we gonna see you next?
I think the next race for me is my car race in SoCal, and then I think the weekend after that we're back at Rock Sonoma. And then I think this year I'll be doing my car stuff, mostly in California, doing all the Rock Sonoma stuff. I think we're doing more Prairie City and then Vegas at the end of the year.
Perfect. All right. Good luck in Irwindale if I don't talk to you soon. Share some footage.
Are you
I
doing the
will.
real
Thank you.
SoCal or are you doing iRacing SoCal?
Wait, sorry.
Are you doing the real SoCal or are you doing iRacing SoCal?
No, this is the real one. So I'm running the number 57 Pro late model with Mike Garcia Racing. So it should be a good time.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
All right, Ron. Final thoughts, shout outs. Where will you be at this year?
Thanks for having us on here. Come check out the karting races up at the San Zero Sonoma races if you guys want to come out, or if you want to get your kids into new karts, get a hold of us. We'll be doing arrive and drives race program there. We're going to be going to Vegas. We're going to be doing some more KZ testing this year because we're going to run Supernats and Real Rock. So definitely thanks for having us. It's a lot of fun, and karting's a great place to be regardless of cars or whatever it is, but the karting is, I would say, one of the best sports there are for motorsports.
Perfect.
How do people find you, Ron?
Go to ronwhiteracing.com and you can just click on there and either do arrive and drive schools or click on and get a hold of me. And if you have questions, whatever it can do to help people get into the sport, I would like to do, and see the karting community actually grow from a club series to a national series, because it's a big passion of mine, not just work. So thank you very much.
Excellent. Thanks, Ron.
Welcome.
All right. Jason Berry, go ahead.
Are you closing us out tonight?
Well, go ahead and close yours.
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead and close yours, Jason. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. That was Ron White Racing with factory driver Kevin Woods and number 2 factory driver Ryan Martin. And yeah, it was a good show. So if you have future comments, I always respond to the comments after the shows as well. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on YouTube. We're doing more stuff on Instagram as well. But our immediate goals, we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. That's our immediate goal for exposure. And just remember, if we all get one person into karting, we'll double by next year.
All right. All right, NorCal, we got lots of shows coming up. We got our Kid Karts Moms coming up. Like I said, we're confirming them. We got a all girls show coming up. We're going to have a Kart Dads show coming up. We're going to have our Kai Sorensen show coming up. And we're also going to be having some specialty shows, safety gear, things like that. So if there's any insight or any contacts that in the safety gear kind of side of things, let us know, because we want to reach out to everyone. All right, guys, if you want to talk about karting, come on my show. Peace, NorCal.